What's going on, everyone? Today we're taking a look at the Adidas AE1. Adidas basketball has been on one lately, and a lot of you have asked us to take a look at these, so let's get right into it. Back in November 2020, the 6'5" shooting guard Anthony Edwards was drafted #1 overall by the Minnesota Timberwolves at barely 19 years old. He promptly signed an endorsement deal with Adidas, the three stripes, and it's obvious that they had high hopes that this #1 draft pick would be a superstar. During his NBA debut, 2020 through 2021, he had a stellar rookie year and became the third youngest player to score 40+ points in a game and finished second in Rookie of the Year voting. In the Ant-Man's second season, where most players are known to have a sophomore slump, he showed continued improvement and filled up ESPN servers with dunk highlight after dunk highlight after dunk highlight. He led a historically downtrodden Minnesota Timberwolves team that had only been to the playoffs once since 2004 back to the postseason, but ended up losing in the first round. By Ant's third season in 2022 to 2023, he was already showing signs of being a generational talent and got selected to be an all-star at the young age of only 22 years old. He's even drawn comparisons to Michael Jordan with his playmaking ability and his soaring dunks. In summer 2023, Ant played in the FIBA World Cup, and despite Team USA's unexpected 4th place finish, Ant-Man was Team USA's leading scorer and arguably the best player, showing his continued growth and superstar ability. All the while Anthony Edwards was raking in those accolades, Adidas has been working in the shadows to create something that would live up to AE's proven potential. In September 2023, teaser images of the upcoming Adidas Anthony Edwards shoe were floated around, and the unique design had people questioning what this shoe was going to be, becoming one of the most anticipated releases of the year. Eric Wise, the global general manager of Adidas basketball, added that Ant's unstoppable athleticism, love for the game, commitment to his family, and unwavering loyalty made him one of one, and Adidas is thrilled to welcome him to the signature roster. On December 16th, 2023, the Adidas AE1 released to the public in 3 colorways, and the design is just crazy. I mean, look at these things. They have almost completely sold out at every restock, and other reviewers already say that it's the best basketball shoe of the year. So, what do these shoes need to hold up to be worthy of the AE name? His scouting report says this: high-scoring combo guard with a style that fits modern NBA athleticism, fluidity, and explosiveness. Quick first step, can beat defenders one-on-one. Strong frame, can absorb and play through contact, overpower smaller and weaker defenders, shifty ball handler, comfort shooting off the dribble, uses side steps to dodge defenders when going to the rim. Adidas' gamble to sign Ant has clearly paid off, but we'll decide if these really hold up to the needs of a well-rounded superstar, or they're just selling purely based off the name and recognition and unique look.
These are the Bear Slayers. This is my attempt at the perfect Pacific Northwest boot. These boots made up in Spokane are some of the heaviest duty boots in the entire world, made for the toughest jobs in the entire world, but not everyone needs all those features. So I wanted to improve it, maintain some of the best attributes, but also soften some of the stuff that makes them a little bit hard to wear in 3 main ways. Number 1, these little flex teeth. Right here we have these cutouts that make 3 of these teeth that allow this instep to flex really, really easily rather than all that leather binding up and biting into the top of your foot. But if you still have pain over your instep, we fixed it with number 2, the box lacing system, because you can see here it goes eyelet, speed hook, eyelet. So to relieve that pain over the instep, if the flex teeth aren't doing enough for you, all you do is undo those, pull those laces up, and now you got all that flex right there. And then third, to accentuate my favorite part of these boots, the arch support, we dropped this panel straight down rather than the typical arch you see on the outside of the boot, so that this panel really grabs and hugs your arch. It's a little bear hug for the Bear Slayers, and it really works because you got like 8mm of leather over top right there, giving you as much support as you could really ever want in a boot. And it's built on the JKOT platform, so it's super flexible, eliminating that really, really heavy, rigid feel to Pacific Northwest boots. And all these features were put through the lens of me hunting in the Pacific Northwest, hunting bears. So that's what makes these the Bear Slayers. There's only 500 available. They drop on Thursday the 23rd, and we have the limited edition email list that gets early access by like 4 hours. Make sure you're first in line, and we'll send you all the sizing information, everything you need to know to get ready to buy a pair of these as soon as they release. And if you're watching this and they're sold out, just get on the limited edition email list, because we'll probably do a few more drops of these. These are the grizzly Bear Slayers with this bison leather. Next we got the black Bear Slayers, the Kodiak Bear Slayers, so check them out below.
The brand is Adidas. The style is the AE1, or Anthony Edwards 1. They come in at a stout 1 pound 3.8 ounces for a 10.5, and they are $120, which is actually the most affordable of all the basketball shoes we've cut in half. And they're made in Vietnam. Even Adidas makes their stuff in Vietnam. Adidas says that these lace up in the style of one of the game's emerging superstars. These signature sneakers from Adidas Basketball and Anthony Edwards are built for certified bucket getters. The combined boost and light strike midsole is ultra lightweight and adds outstanding energy return to your most explosive moves. A rubber outsole provides all the support you need to attack the hoop, while signature Anthony Edwards branding completes the look. If you're ready to get buckets like the Ant-Man, grab a pair of these with the links below. This is the highest cut basketball shoe that we've done in this series so far. You can see it's like one of those in-betweener cuts, like that hybrid high. It's not quite a mid-top, not quite a high, but definitely higher than a low. The upper seems to mostly be made up out of this woven textile, which I guess Adidas really likes because they put it on the Harden Volume 8 too. It does feel thicker than any other shoe that we've seen so far. It's pretty interesting to see a woven on a performance basketball shoe because typically wovens are a lot less breathable. It seems like it might get a little hot. There is a little bit of a reflective hit on the toe. Really, this just, it kind of looks like a Yeezy shape. It looks very Yeezy-esque. And then obviously the most interesting and important part of the shoe are these crazy honeycomb sidewalls wrapped around the upper of the shoe. Sidewalls are a pretty standard thing in basketball shoes because we saw them in the Harden 8 with those crazy EVA sidewalls. The KD had those boring wings, and the LeBrons had that cabling system. So to test what these honeycombs were made out of, we put the flame to it, and you could see that it melts and it gets really runny. It actually melts in the coolest way possible, but it definitely acts more like a TPU material. So this sidewall is supposed to keep your foot locked in and give it support and mostly containment. Basketball is a super dynamic sport, so all of those lateral movements have to be contained somehow, so you hopefully don't blow through your shoe mid-game or when you're going up for a monster dunk. I'm honestly not quite sure why they're hexagons. I thought maybe it's because like AE is the Ant-Man, but hexagons are like beehives and bees are insects like ants. I don't know. Let us know your theories down below. So behind this honeycomb TPU sidewall, in the holes you can see there's like this white mesh behind it, and it makes it seem like this whole panel should be super breathable, but we put it on the breathability test and it's actually really only breathable in like one spot through the tongue, and I'm pretty sure that's because of this really thick woven textile. I think it goes all the way down and this mesh underneath is just for show. Moving from the honeycomb back to the heel, there is this like floating plastic carbon fiber looking heel counter thing. We burned it and you can tell it's actually just molded carbon fiber texture. It's not actually carbon fiber, but for 120 bucks, who can blame them? Rocking them around the office, we tied them really tight, but they still felt mobile and they weren't restrictive on the ankle, even though this material is a little thicker. Luckily, the TPU material is actually much thinner and way more flexible and moves with the foot much better than the EVA sidewalls on the Harden. Because it's made out of this TPU material, it bounces back so much better. So we're not even seeing that much creasing. It's a little wavy in some areas, but really not as badly creased as the sidewalls on the Harden 8. On the upper puncture test, we got about 54.5 pounds, which is on the low end for such a thick textile. So just don't play ball on a razor bladed court and you'll be straight. So the lining seems pretty standard, just some foam, but as feeling around in it, near the arch of the foot, there are some perforations, some holes in there. So maybe it's trying to act like the jungle boot vent holes to cool your foot down and drain excess sweat, which would be crazy. Obviously doesn't work for the breathability test though, because we didn't see anything coming through that. On the website, it says that the midsole is made out of Boost and light strike cushioning, which I think are two separate types of foam. Boost is that like pellet foam that we've seen before, and I believe light strike is just a standard compression or injection molded foam. They use it in their racing and running shoes, and they've been starting to put it in their basketball shoes. One of our editors, Melvin, is actually a certified baller. And he mentioned that when he played in these, that they feel very bouncy, like almost like full-length Zoom unit bounce. It has a very soft landing, very cushiony when coming down, and that's verified by the ball drop test, where these got 22 inches, coming in number 4 overall, just below the Ultra Boost 22 and those high-tech running shoes with Nike Zoom X. If you look at the bottom of the shoe, there seems to be some sort of like black shank. You can see it through the translucency of the outsole here, and it's an interesting shape, and I wonder if it's supposed to be sort of like a springboard like on the GT Jump, or if it's just a little bit of marketing flash. The durometer of the sole comes in at 60 to 65 Shore. Melvin let us know that while he was wearing these, that they were not as grippy as all the other shoes we've had him test, that they slipped out on those harder cuts and more lateral movements. The performance was hindered by all the dust, so he would have to wipe several times to get back to regular traction. That slipping can really make you prone to more injuries like ACL, MCL tears. On the bar drop test, these got a 6-inch height, so the midsole definitely has some cushioning and soft landing, just like Melvin let us know. On the puncture test, on the bottom, we got 85.5 pounds. You would think that with these crazy sidewalls and stuff, maybe it would be direct injection molded, sort of like the Yeezy 450 that we've seen, but these are actually just a cemented construction. You can see some of the glue stains and over glue on parts of the upper. Over time, you might get some delamination. I would worry about the longevity, but again, this is a $120 shoe. They should hold up for a fair amount of time. I can't fault Adidas on that. Direct injection tooling is actually really expensive, and especially with all of this texturing and detail, how fine it is, it would be a very complicated and very expensive tool. There's no way. We got them cut in half. Let's check them out. Getting right into it, you can see it has one of those molded insoles. It's actually the exact same one that we found on the Harden Volume 8. The lasting board has a hole in the heel, and I think that's just so that like the bottom curvature of your heel can immediately feel that boost, squish, and feel. And then looking at it closer, again, you can see that little lattice structure that's happening from the pellets being fused together. It's coming in at 12 to 15 Choré, quite soft for that much rebound. It's 25 millimeters of foam in the heel and 12 millimeters in the toe for a 13 millimeter drop, which is pretty wild. Something that I'm not seeing is the light strike. I would have assumed it's like a little puck in the forefoot or in the heel or something. I only see boost, so maybe I'm wrong about light strike being a different type of foam. Maybe they blended them together. That little Yeezy-esque reflective toe thing is actually really thick. It's like a 1.5 millimeter thick fuse material. Besides the midsole, you can see the shank here is really thick. It's like 3 millimeters at its thickest. You can see it does come to the heel and then wraps around to the toes. Not only that, it's got another shank on top of it on the lasting board. So you've got like this sandwich in the middle at your arch that's like shank, midsole, shank, really thick. I don't know if you guys remember, the heel counter on the Harden was super thick. And this one's not quite as thick. You can see it does have an internal counter that's relatively thick, but that floating thing add a good level of thickness and really does make it feel a little bit more rigid and stable in that area. It's right around 4 millimeters thick. The rubber outsole, the lugs, I guess you could say, are at a 4 millimeter thickness, and we couldn't quite get a thickness for the web. Overall, I'm a little worried about the longevity of the sidewalls since they're just a cemented construction. Usually these shoes are made really, really well, but if you plan on wearing these for a really long time, constantly flexing them, playing in them, over time, they will probably delaminate. I am a little worried about the traction. Melvin was saying it's a little slippery, a little unreliable, so maybe not perfect. It would probably perform really well outdoor like most traction does, but you might wear through it really quickly. I'm also kind of confused about the light strike boost thing. Like I said, I only see boost, so maybe Adidas technical description for these isn't correct, or maybe I'm just not understanding how the light strike is implemented in this sole. So other than being a little confused about where the light strike is and maybe the longevity of the sidewalls bonded to the upper, it seems like a really great shoe. Melvin really loved it. He said that it has tons of rebound and springiness. I think for $120, these are seriously sweet. This is sort of like unheard of pricing on a performance model these days that really does feel like a performance model. And it sort of hits that nostalgia button I have for all the crazy looking basketball models of the 90s, but with performance of the modern age and at a pretty wallet friendly price. It's no wonder they keep selling out. They look awesome, they perform really well, And despite not having the light strike that I can see, and maybe the questionable longevity of the sidewalls, you can't deny getting a pair of hoop shoes for $120 these days, especially one that looks as sick as this. Hats off to Adidas Basketball for a great job well done with these. But let us know what you guys think. Am I wrong with the light strike? Am I just not seeing it? I do have to wear glasses after all. Do you guys think these are worth it for 120 bucks? And if you do, buy them with the links down below. It really does help the channel. Thanks for the suggestion on these guys. They're seriously cool, and keep them coming. Let us know in the comments what you want to see cut in half. Is it more basketball shoes or running shoes or other things on the market? Let us know. We'd love to take a look. Have a good one, guys. Peace.